I've been watching a lot of Iceberg videos, and I thought it'd be cool to do one that's similar to the very popular Mario 64 Iceberg analysis. I thought to myself which one would be more fun to make, and the tie was between Zelda and Minecraft. I decided to do Zelda because the only video covering it is really not that good. As well as that, the topics within said iceberg were really silly and uninteresting. Recently, a new iceberg was made with far more interesting topics that I thought I'd discuss and share. No jokes, no funny edits, just a clean and straight to the point video discussing the updated iceberg. I might reference a couple of topics from the old iceberg, but this mainly focuses on the new one. As well as that, any topics that I deem uninteresting in both icebergs will not be included in this video. As far as my own knowledge, for each topic you'll see a set of 3 hearts. Full health means I have a good understanding of the topic and can faithfully explain it with no issues. Half health means I kind of understand the topic, but still not entirely sure what to make of it. And no health means I don't have an understanding of the topic at all and will try to sum it up the best I can. Also, huge shout out to Reddit user HSUHRU. They've compiled a document covering most of the iceberg, so if I can't find any useful information, I'll be referring back to their document. With that said, let's take a dive into the updated Legend of Zelda Iceberg. Mario Cameo. In Zelda's garden, if you look into the right window, you'll notice paintings of Mario, Bowser, Peach, Luigi, and Yoshi. This isn't the only cameo that the Mario franchise makes in early Zelda games. Malon is wearing a brooch that is in the shape of Bowser, as well as there being a Mario mask that the Happy Mask salesman has on his backpack. Deku Tree Sprout. The Deku Tree Sprout is a character in Ocarina of Time that appears after finishing the Forest Temple in the Adult Link section. Before finishing the Forest Temple, the Deku Tree Sprout appears as a small shoot in the ground. Some theories suggest that the sprout grew up to be the Deku Tree that appears in Wind Waker. Some evidence that supports this theory is the fact that the Deku Tree speaks Hylian, which was the native language used in Ocarina of Time, and the fact that Deku Tree recognizes the green tunic the young hero is wearing. Nintendo 64 DD Lost Concepts / URA. URA Zelda was a Nintendo 64 disk drive expansion disc designed for Ocarina of Time. However, due to the failure of the Nintendo 64 DD, the game was never released. URA Zelda would include alternate and more difficult dungeons and new enemies. It would also feature an expansion pack called Zelda Gaiden, which would include a different overworld and an entirely new adventure. Zelda Gaiden would eventually evolve into the well-known Majora's Mask, and I believe that the concept for URA Zelda will inevitably evolve into Master Quest mode. Deku Butler's son. When Link first enters Termina, the Skull Kid puts a curse on him, turning him into Deku Link. Soon after, Link stumbles across a twisted tree that resembles a Deku scrub. Tattle remarks on how the tree looks sad, and as well as its physical resemblance to Link's current form. Later, when Link is to receive an item from the Deku Butler, the Butler initiates a race in which he guides Link through a series of obstacles. If Link is able to keep up with him and reach the end of the shrine, he is given the Mask of Sense. Before Link leaves the shrine, the Deku Butler apologizes for moving too fast. He mentions that when he looks at Link, he is reminded of his son whom he used to race with, and therefore forgot to lower his pace. It is possible he is referring to Link's Deku form, which he saw previously, as this is the most likely form to remind him of a Deku scrub, though at the time he makes this statement, Link may or may not be using that shape. During the end credits, the Deku Butler can be seen crying next to a twisted Deku-like tree seen in the caverns underneath Clock Town, which may imply he has finally found his long-lost son. The Fourth Day. In Majora's Mask, there is a glitch that allows you to bypass the 3-day deadline, entering the 4th day. There's not really much else to say. R-Wings. The R-Wing is a vehicle used by the Star Fox team in the Star Fox series. In Ocarina of Time, an unused enemy R-Wing can be found by modifying the game's data, either by hacking or using a cheat device. When Link enters the area with an R-Wing, a small cutscene will play showing the ship appearing. The R-Wing will then proceed to fly around the area and attack Link with its lasers. The R-Wing was used to test the flight patterns of Volgaia. It was left in future versions of the game, both the Nintendo GameCube and Virtual Console ports. However, the R-Wing was not implemented in Ocarina of Time 3D. Mario 64 shared concepts and ideas. There's not really much evidence to support this theory, other than the fact that both games were worked on at the same time and used a similar engine. There are some shared assets between the games, which we'll discuss as we get deeper, but ultimately Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 are two separate games. Supposedly Zelda was to be designed like Mario 64, where Link would enter dungeons through Ganondorf's castle. I can't find any evidence to support this theory, so this one is up in the air. The Boy in the Graveyard. In Ocarina of Time, there is a boy who wanders in the graveyard in Kakariko Village and is fascinated with scary things. The boy carries a stick because he's trying to mimic his hero, Dampé, who carries a shovel. Unfortunately, the boy is never able to go on Dampé's late-night tour due to his curfew. In the Adult Link timeline, Dampé has passed away and the boy's house has been replaced by the bazaar, but more importantly, the boy is unable to be found. There are two theories. One, that the boy's father is the Hyrulean soldier that guards the entrance to Death Mountain in Kakariko. The boy tells Link that he asked his dad for a Catan mask if you present the mask to him. After giving that soldier Zelda's letter, he'll ask if you can get him a Catan mask. While this theory is most likely true, the more interesting one is the theory that claims the boy is the Poe Hunter. The evidence that backs this is as followed. The boy was interested in the paranormal, and the Poe Hunter has a stick and waves it in the same motion as the Graveyard Boy. There are few counter-arguments that debunk this theory, and those being, the Poe Collector seems to be fairly old and refers to Adult Link as a young man, the Graveyard Boy seemingly didn't like trouble, as he would yell at you for moving gravestones, then threaten to tell Dampé, but the Poe Hunter is the complete opposite as he wants to see the world fall into disorder. It's kind of undetermined where the boy is and who exactly he is, but I do like the second theory a lot more. L is real in Dodongo's Cavern. In Dodongo's Cavern, the same plaque that was used in Mario 64 that reads L is real 2401 can be found in Dodongo's Cavern, but reads Giant Dead Dodongo. When it sees red, a new way to go will open. Seeing this sign in Ocarina of Time basically proves that the sign, L is real 2401, had no real significance and was just a reused asset. Running Man. The Running Man in Ocarina of Time runs around Hyrule Field during the past after Link has obtained all 3 spiritual stones. He has an obsession with rabbits and speaks about how Hyrule Field used to be filled with them. The bunny hood can be sold to him, and he even believes the long ears will help him hear the voices of the gods. He will pay a big sum of rupees to obtain the mask. The exact amount he pays Link for the bunny hood is not set, he will simply give Link as many rupees as it takes to fill his current wallet. Once he receives the bunny hood, the Running Man will gain a burst of speed, knocking back Link if he runs into him. In Super Mario Sunshine, there is a character named Pianissimo that challenges Mario to a race. Inputting a code to remove his mask reveals that the character is in fact the Running Man, which further theorizes that Mario and Zelda are in the same universe. Fado. Fado is an interesting character. Despite her minor role in Ocarina of Time, Fado has a rather noticeable appearance. She has her own model, which is unusual for any character that's not a Hylian or has an important role, different lines from the other Kokiri, and she mysteriously disappears later on in the game. For all this attention her character was given, she holds no significance to the game whatsoever. It is currently believed that Fado was to be the Sage of Wind, but was scrapped along with the Wind Temple due to the limited capacity the Nintendo 64 had. It may also be worth noting that the former Wind Sage in Wind Waker was also named Fado, though they were male. Adult Link Mask. Fans have found out that in Majora's Mask there is an unused Adult Link mask. It's not entirely known what this mask could have been used for, maybe a way for the player to turn into Adult Link in a certain portion of the game, I don't know. Malon Wife. Fans have theorized that Malon ends up being Link's love interest in Ocarina of Time. Some evidence to support this is Malon being the only female character of importance that isn't a sage. One of the gossip stones outside the Temple of Time states that Malon dreams of a knight in shining armor, Talon jokes about Link marrying his daughter, and Malon is always cheerful around Link. More evidence to support this theory follows in Twilight Princess, where Link is a rancher and already knows Epona's song. This also plays into the theory that Link in the Twilight Princess is the descendant of the Link in Ocarina of Time, which was confirmed in the official Hyrule Historia. Beta Fire Temple music. This is most likely connected to the infamous 1.0 cartridges of Ocarina of Time that had later revised the Fire Temple music to not have Islamic chanting, as well as revising symbols that may be deemed as Islamic. Earth and Wind Temple. It's been discovered that both an Earth Temple and Wind Temple were planned to be in Ocarina of Time, but were scrapped due to the lack of capacity the Nintendo 64 had. No beta footage or screenshots exist of the scrapped dungeons, so we'll never know what they could have been. However, it's theorized that the forest barrier in Ganondorf's castle is a reused wind-themed challenge that was originally used for the scrapped Wind Temple. It's not confirmed, but I believe that the Earth Temple evolved into the Forest Temple early in development. Forest Temple is Hyrule Castle. This refers to a theory that claims the Forest Temple is an old Hyrule castle from another era of Zelda. There's really no evidence to support this, and it really doesn't make much sense if you take into account the design of the Forest Temple. Link is a boobs guy. Okay, I know I said I wouldn't add any silly or absurd theories, but surprisingly, this really does kinda add up. Throughout Link's journey in his different games, he's surrounded by, well, titties. So yeah, it would make sense that Link prefers boobs. As well as that, in Hyrule Warriors, you can clearly see Link flustered when he's near the Great Fairy. Again, it's silly, but it's very believable. Gerudo race gone after Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. This theory states that the Gerudo were wiped out after Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, or evolved like the Kokiris and Zora in Wind Waker. However, this theory is pretty much debunked since Breath of the Wild exists, and it's theorized that Breath of the Wild takes place after Ocarina of Time. Ben Drowned. I'm sure everyone is familiar with this infamous creepypasta. It would inspire many other creators to reuse the idea of haunted games for other media, such as Sonic.exe and Pokemon Black. Unlike those creepypastas, however, Ben Drowned was a well-written and well-executed creepypasta, showcasing believable footage of a supposed haunted cartridge and becoming a long-lasting ARG that lasted 3 parts. Termina Is Limbo. This is a theory involved with the Link is Dead theory made by Game Theory. It claims that Termina is Link's limbo and that each area of the game is a stage of loss, denial, depression, bargaining, anger, and acceptance. While interesting, the theory has become debunked after release of the official Hyrule Historia. Grog suicide. It's theorized that Grog committed suicide with the poacher's saw before being reanimated as a Staphlos. When you return with the medicine for the Big Goron sword, Grog is gone and replaced by Fado, who gives you the poacher's saw. This theory doesn't really have any solid evidence, and I mean, come on. Do you really think Nintendo had the intent to make Grog commit suicide? Stall Child are Kokiri. Fans theorize that Stall Children are Kokiris that left the forest. It's been theorized that Kokiri cannot leave the forest or else they die. However, this theory was disproved after seeing Kokiri in the end credits of Ocarina of Time. As well as that, even if this theory was true, Stall Children share no resemblance to Kokiri, and there's no evidence to support this claim. Beta Zelda 64 trailer. There are a lot of beta trailers and screenshots for Ocarina of Time, and between each trailer and screenshot are noticeable differences that were removed from the final game. The tech demo trailer features a Link that looked closer to the original NES Zelda design, young Link's voice sounded different assets were used for the menus, and a whole lot more. If you're interested, just do a search for beta footage of Ocarina of Time / Zelda 64. Fused Shadow. It's theorized that the tribe who made Majora's Mask is the same tribe that made the Fused Shadow. It shares a similar eye that's seen on both the Fused Shadow and Majora's Mask, and as well as that, the creature that the Fused Shadow transforms Midna into looks similar to Majora's first and second form. However, there's another theory that the Sheikah are the ones responsible for making Majora's Mask. Taking into account that this may be true would debunk this theory, and truthfully speaking, the only resemblance to Majora is the eye on the Fused Shadow. Timeline Split. This refers to the official Hyrule Historia, where the timeline splits into 3 separate timelines. The adult timeline, which leads into Wind Waker, the child timeline, which leads into Majora's Mask, and the hero is defeated timeline, which leads into A Link to the Past. This theory was commonly accepted before Hyrule Historia was a thing. IQUE versions. The IQUE player was a console sold exclusively in China on November 17, 2003. There are really no discernible differences between both this console and the Nintendo 64. However, this version of Ocarina of Time was used heavily in early stages of speedrunning. However, this version is no longer used since faster strategies have been found on different versions of the game. Redeads are Hylians. Fans have speculated that Redeads are Hylians, which makes sense seeing that they can be found inside the Royal Tomb in Ocarina of Time. However, in Majora's Mask, it's stated that Redeads are the reanimated corpses of the deceased Inca Castle dancing troupe. This could just be the case for Majora's Mask, however, and completely different in Ocarina of Time. Composer Brothers. It's believed that the Composer Brothers are supposed to be based on Mario and Luigi. Seeing that Sharp, the older brother, is short, wide, and wears red, while Flat, the younger brother, is tall, thin, and wears green. As well as that, they share the same mustaches as Mario and Luigi. Aria. Aria was an NPC that was cut from the final game, but can be seen in a couple of beta screenshots. In the leaked 42197 build, Aria was noted to have talking animations, indicating that at some point, Ocarina of Time may have had voice acting. Sky Temple. Like Mew hiding under the truck or Elizreal 2401, Sky Temple was an urban legend that claimed you can get to the Sky Temple by placing a bomb exactly in the middle of the lava pit under Ganon's castle. Obviously, this is not the case, and I can't recall hearing much about this rumor as a kid. Peach's Castle in Ocarina of Time. This is one that I added in myself because I fondly remember this as a kid and unfortunately cannot find the corresponding video. Back when the Wii Virtual Console released, a video showcased how to get to Peach's Castle from Mario 64. By using a bomb chew and clipping yourself through the ground in the middle of Hyrule Field, you would then be spawned in Peach's Castle from Mario 64. Like the Sky Temple, this was an urban legend, but that didn't stop me from trying this glitch over and over again. Majora is the hero. This is a pretty interesting theory. In the Majora's Mask manga, Majora and Fierce Deity's backstory is explained. In the manga, Majora was a dragon who protected the land. The dragon had a powerful armor that could grant wishes. Many attempted to kill the dragon for its armor, but failed until one day a mysterious man who resembled the fierce deity came to the dragon and played music for him for 3 days and 3 nights. Afterwards, the dragon had died and the man carved Majora's Mask out of the dragon's armor in an attempt to seal away its power. This theory also claims that Majora created Termina and challenged Link simply because he looked like the fierce deity and wanted revenge. While this theory is interesting, it's basically been proven that the mangas are not canon and would alter or disprove many other theories on this list. Removed voice commands. Did you know that Majora's Mask had voice commands programmed into the game? It wasn't known until a video showcasing the feature was posted onto YouTube and still works with 1.0 versions of the cartridge.
Oh, hero. Hi, Chizu.
The Tetraforce. People believe that the Triforce isn't 3 pieces, rather, it's actually 4 pieces. This belief started when players noticed that the Hylian shield had an eagle that was standing on a 4th triangle. However, this theory has been disproved many times by Nintendo, and this design for the shield would never be used again. 7-day concept. This plays into a theory that has been proven true that Majora's Mask was inspired by the movie Run Lola Run, in which the span of the movie takes place in a week. The idea was scrapped to 3 days due to limitations of the Nintendo 64. The 7-day concept supposedly came from a board game revolved around cops and robbers, however the Run Lola Run theory adds up more. Unicorn Fountain. This was a scrapped area that was mentioned in the URA build of Zelda. It's speculated that you would need the Triforce to access this area and that you would receive another cut mechanic known as the Sword Beam. Ganondorf bleeds red. In the 1.0 build of Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf had red blood instead of green. This change was made due to the violent nature it had, but if I'm gonna be honest, considering everything else in Ocarina of Time, red blood for 2 to 3 seconds isn't that bad. Ocarina of Time changed my life. This is supposedly a common expression that you'll see on many forum boards. Players claim that Ocarina of Time can be a life-changing experience and is a game that has both shaped lives positively or negatively. I guess you can say that's true, but that can be said for almost any game. Moon Children real-life cult. The Moon Children featured in Majora's Mask is an actual cult that was formed around 1998. Creatively, Ben Drowned actually used this cult as part of a storytelling piece for the creepypasta. The Forbidden Build. This is supposedly a build of the game that has the spirit of a dead game designer contained within it. Like Ben Drowned, this is clearly fake, and no footage or story was put together for the Forbidden Build. The Aria Apparition. The Aria Apparition is the aforementioned NPC that supposedly has a cursed spirit within her code. The only way to summon her is by cartridge swapping Ocarina of Time 1.0 with Mario 64, then swapping back to Ocarina of Time, but you must swap the cartridge when you're at Kakariko Village in Ocarina of Time, and wet dry rolled in Mario 64. It's been noted that the curse code follows around Link in the game and tries to speak to him, but I'm sure as you can guess, this really isn't true. Ocarina of Time destroyed any percent speedrunning. According to others, the category in runners are seemingly unwelcoming towards beginners and is considered a pretty boring speedrun in general. I don't see how one small side of the speedrunning community can ruin the entire community. As well as that, you're not required to be part of the speedrunning community when you're a beginner, so I don't know about this one. Majora's Mask is a retelling of the Magic Flute. Okay, this one doesn't make any sense to me. The Magic Flute was Mozart's last completed composition, and during this time, Mozart was part of the Freemasons. The Magic Flute was supposed to be a huge nod to Freemasonry, and this theory connects Majora's Mask's themes to that of the Magic Flute to imply that it's Nintendo's own nod to Freemasonry. I highly doubt that is the case, and there is no evidence to support this theory other than someone saying, hey, it could be symbolic of Freemasonry. Every copy of Zelda 64 is personalized. With the rise in popularity of every Mario 64 cartridge being personalized, it would make sense that Zelda shares the same fate due to both games sharing a similar engine. Like Mario 64, many people have different experiences with Ocarina of Time, so it's fair to assume it's because of the personalized AI featured in both engines. And with that said, that will conclude our deep dive into The Legend of Zelda Iceberg. If you stayed until the end, I appreciate you sticking around to watch this video. This video was a bit different from my normal routine, so if you enjoyed watching and would like to see more, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for sticking to the end. Hopefully, I will see you guys again soon.